welcome back
to another fabulous episode of
All My Favorite People Are Dead. I'm Sue Teresi.
I'm Shannon Butler.
You are?
Yeah, last time I checked.
Yeah, you are.
I am.
That's right.
And I feel like I'm more myself now that we finally got cool weather.
So the 90s are gone.
The 90s are gone. Yeah, we had a nasty heat wave here, folks, for the past week.
Of course, in September, not in, July.
Yeah, when we're supposed to get that shit.
When I have to go back to work and there's, no air conditioning
Right.
in my classroom, except this little portable thing. But don't get me started. It took me too long to get that.
So now the windows are open. If you guys hear thunder...
Or birds.
Or birds chirping.
Or screaming.
We got a storm going on. These storms are making things cool again, so we're okay with that.
Unless the power goes out, or you hear the birds, or the thunder rolling out, or my neighbors running down the block screaming to get toilet paper. We get toilet paper, the power's out, blah, blah, blah.
But we should be okay.
We're
good.
Should be all right.
We're all right.
If not, if the power goes out, please send beer.
Beer. Or a margarita.
Oh.
Because we got a, oh shit.
It's a modern day obit.
That's right.
And what a good segue. Thank you, Shan.
Hey, thank you.
So, James William Buffett was an American singer, songwriter, musician, author, and businessman, all rolled into one.
He had a lot of money, didn't he?
He was best known for what is called tropical rock music, which is often portrayed as a lifestyle described as island escapism.
Right.
Now, I know when I think of escapism, I think of prisoners, but that's me. Escapism might be a good thing, but it is portrayed and described as island escapism.
Yes.
Jimmy was born Christmas, December 25th, 1946, in Pascagoula, which I'm probably not pronouncing correctly, MS. What is MS? Missouri? Sure it is. It is now. And he just died on the first.
I just spaced on that.
So did I. Sag Harbor. I know where that is. That's in New York.
Yep.
He was married to a woman named Jane from 77 to 2003, and before that was married to a woman named Margie. He had kids, Savannah Buffett, there we go, Cameron Marley Buffett, Sasha Delaney Buffett. His parents were, James Delaney Buffett Jr. and Mary Lorraine Peets Buffett.
I'm sorry, that's why I went.
I thought it was the thunder.
No,
I thought the thunder got you. And we're good.
Sorry.
One of my elusive cats decided to jump up and look at Shannon and stay here and then leave.
That never happens.
But you're allowed to glimpse him. He's like, gaze upon me, don't touch.
Yes.
And he's over there.
Sorry, folks.
He's right there.
Hi.
Okay.
Oh, I can look, but I can't touch.
You can look at me. You may talk to me.
Okay.
You may gaze at my beauty.
Anyway, back to Jimmy Buffett.
Buffett recorded hit songs known as the Big Eight. Margaritaville in 1977 is ranked the 24th on Recording Industry Association of America's list of songs of the century.
Really?
I wish I made this shit up, but I don't.
Okay.
Wasting Away Again in Margaritaville. I'm not going to say it glorifies alcohol or alcoholism. You decide. I'm wasting away again in Margaritaville. If I was ever with a man and he said to me, I'm wasting away again in Margaritaville, I'd probably be like, don't ever call me again, but that's me.
I mean, I'd probably go,
I'll join you. Yeah, put salt on the
wound. All this shit that's going on right now in this world, I'd be like, hand me that shaker of salt, baby.
One. Maybe two. One margarita, two margaritas, three margarita floor.
After this week, I'll have a few.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, okay. Escapism. There we go. But you have to be on an island. The Staten Island.
That's fine.
Does Staten Island count as an island?
I've never been to Staten Island.
Good. Don't go. I was there once, and I'm like, why? Manhattan is an island.
I'm enjoying Staten Island through what we do in the shadows.
Okay. Well, don't get me started. Do not. I just watched the season finale. I'm like, great, how long do I have to wait for
I know.
Season? I tried to get a Naja doll. Did I tell you that?
You
I
did tell
cannot
me.
find the Naja. If anybody knows where I can get a Naja doll, I really want one. Not a keychain. I want a little doll for my doll collection.
Yeah.
Just let me know.
Okay.
Just let me. And
I'm keeping an eye out for you.
Okay, keep an eye out. If anybody knows where to get one, send me the link, okay? You could reach us.
Okay.
Okay. So then he's got Songs of the Century, Come Monday, Fins, Volcano, A Pirate Looks at 40, ho ho ho, A Cheeseburger in Paradise, Okay,
I'm
I
down
don't
for
eat
that.
cheeseburgers unless they're vegetarian. Why don't we get drunk? I'm not even going to say a thing about that. Changes in latitudes, changes in attitudes, and other popular songs include Son of a Sailor, One Particular Harbor, It's 5 o'clock somewhere,
Yeah.
Yeah, he formed the Coral Reefer Band.
Yes.
Okay, so this was all in set. Need I say more about any of this? And look, if you want to go and have a party, all the best, okay? I make no judgment because I don't give a rat's ass.
Okay, fair enough.
In May of 2023, Buffett was hospitalized to address some issues that needed immediate attention. He rescheduled tour dates, but in
dear.
late August, he entered hospice.
Aww.
Yeah, he just died on the 1st of September. He was 76 at his home in Sag Harbor, New York, due to complications from Merkel cell carcinoma, which is a very rare and aggressive skin cancer,
Yeah.
which he was diagnosed with 4 years earlier. According to a statement on his official website, he was surrounded by his family, friends, music,
Margaritas.
and dogs
Oh.
at the time.
You didn't have a bedside margarita?
Probably, but he had his dogs and his music. So,
All right, fair enough.
for the Jimmy Buffett fans, that was a little oh shit. It's a modern day obit.
There you go.
So, there we go.
So today
Yes.
we're going to be talking about.
Yes.
Okay, so you know I'm a fan of photography,
Yes.
right?
I do know that.
I've mentioned it in the previous podcast. We talked about Louis Daguerre, right?
Daguerreotype.
The inventor of photography. Today we're going to talk about the father of modern photography.
Mr. Polaroid?
No.
Oh,
No.
okay.
What I mean by this, I mean that this man is responsible for making photography a form of art.
Mr. Photomat? You don't know what a photomat is.
I do know what a
You
photomat
do?
is,
A
but
photomat.
it's not him.
Oh, not photomat, not Polaroid.
No. Now, he didn't just push the boundaries of photography. He also helped to bring modern art in all of its weirdness to Americans. He helped us to see things differently. And he helped make a lot of artists famous while they were alive, which was, at that point, not usually something happened. You had to be dead in order for your art to sell.
Or to be on our podcast.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, luckily, all the people I'm going to talk about today are dead.
Okay, good.
I speak of none other than Alfred Stieglitz.
Oh!
You don't know who the hell that is.
Crickets.
Yeah,
I have no idea what
you don't
you're
know.
talking. As
Okay.
usual breathers, I got no clue.
That's okay.
Okay.
So, Alfred was born the son of Edward and Hedwig Stieglitz, German Jewish immigrants who had immigrated to America and landed in Hoboken, New Jersey. Now, he was born on the 1st of January, 1864. He had 5 siblings as well, 3 sisters and 2 brothers who were twins. It is very clear, right from the beginning, that Alfred was the favorite.
Oh.
At least that's what he claimed. He claimed a lot of things. He liked to talk big about himself. His father had done really well in the wool industry. He was a wool merchant, so well that during the Civil War, he served in the Union Army for like a hot second and then was able to pay the $300 needed for a substitute to fight for him. So if you could afford to pay the $300 to send somebody else to fight in the war, you were doing pretty well. You had enough money to play around with.
Draft dodger? Kind of like that?
No.
No, because you're paying somebody?
You're paying somebody to fight for you.
So you're paying
yeah.
draft dodger.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so you pay, do you get to pick the person?
He didn't dodge the draft. He actually had signed up and served for a little while.
Oh, he did? Okay.
And then he was like, I'm out of here. I'm going to pay somebody else to do
I'll
it.
get somebody else to...
So that's what he did.
Hey, where's Little Billy? Little Billy, you look bored. Here you go. Here's
Here you
a
go.
musket.
Go join the army.
All right, here you go.
When Alfred was 7 years old, the family moved from Hoboken to Manhattan.
Big upgrade. No offense, Jersey.
His father had built a lovely home at number 14 East 60th Street, which was somewhat like far away from the city itself. Like that was not quite the city yet at that time. Yeah. Fifth Avenue hadn't been paved that far north yet. Mm-hmm. So they're out in the boondocks.
Yeah.
His father was able to retire at a young age and just enjoy his wealth. From his years as a wool merchant, he invested wisely, and the family lived quite comfortably.
Good for him.
They traveled regularly, were famous for their Sunday luncheons, and they even had a separate home in Lake George, which is not too shabby.
Okay.
Alfred's father enjoyed painting and was therefore a supporter of the arts, which was quite helpful considering Alfred's future trajectory. Okay. Interestingly, during this time in the 1870s, there was a sudden social exclusion of Jews in America. it seemed to get worse as time went on in the 1870s.
You don't say.
Yeah. Especially at hotels and colleges, things like that.
You don't say.
Yeah, it was fucked up. Ironically, at the time, German-speaking countries in Europe were experiencing this whole Jewish sort of renaissance, where Jews could do whatever they wanted over there.
Temporarily.
We
all know how that's going to end, don't we?
Doesn't end well.
No.
So the
Never
Stieglitzes...
does for us. Never does.
So the Stieglitzes moved to Berlin. And this allowed him to go, Alfred, to go to college.
Temporarily. Sorry, I gotta represent.
I get it. I
know you do.
So anyway, his father wanted him to study mechanical engineering, but Alfred learned pretty quickly he wasn't any good at that.
Okay.
One day, he had heard about classes being offered by Professor Vogel on photography, so he immediately signed up. Very soon, he was experimenting, obsessively, in the school's laboratories, and he decided to purchase his own camera in 1883. And so it begins. He is complete. He has his instrument. It is a part of his being.
Okay, then.
Yes.
It's an appendage.
Yes, exactly. It really is.
He grew a camera.
He did.
Okay.
Under Professor Vogel, Alfred became one with his camera, and he learned about all the chemical aspects of developing. He learned about lenses, lighting, focusing. All of this was considered a science, but not an art form. Not yet.
Okay.
Even Vogel, who was still experimenting while teaching the students, didn't see this as art. He saw it as the most effective recording device to for the work of engineers and scientists.
So it's used to document.
Yes.
And, you have all those chemicals. I've seen, in the days, with blackout room, what were they called? The
dark room?
The dark room, yeah. When they had all those chemicals and the thingies you could only touch with, like, tweezers and stuff.
Right.
It was a whole chemical process.
Sure it was.
You don't think of art, at least I don't. I don't know, look, I'm not an artist by any means, but when I think of art, I think of clay or paint or drawings or paper. I don't think of chemicals and darkness and,
And that's what most people saw back then.
Yeah.
But he saw something different.
Well,
he saw this as a way to...
express himself.
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
So he disagreed with his professor. Alfred's father was supporting him financially, so Alfred made the best of it and toured all over Europe, photographing everything he saw. It was absolute bliss for him.
I'm sure.
He wrote about how wonderful it was just going wherever he wanted, photographing everything. He liked peasant scenes in particular, and he was kind of basing this off of artwork of peasant scenes. He said, why can't we just have photographs of peasant scenes be art as well?
That's nice.
So he also claimed that he was becoming quite sexual at this point in his young 20s. And
was he filming that?
No. Well, he did photograph one of his supposed lovers, Paula, in a room scene. Yeah.
Show me like one of your.
Yeah.
Photograph me like one of your French girls, Jack.
He wasn't doing nude photography yet. He'd get into that. Yeah. He claimed, he admitted later on that he had fathered a child with some peasant girl while he was over there.
Some peasant girl.
So
that's
his
baby mama.
Yeah, some peasant girl. So he had a little too much fun. Well, I guess.
Okay.
In 1890, he was called back to the States when his favorite sister Flora died while giving birth. His parents decided they wanted all of their children back at home. Both of his brothers had done quite well in their studies in Germany, and they both had their PhDs by this point, while Alfred was still jobless and enjoying his father's wealth. But for some reason...
Wait, let me get this straight. He's jobless, he's running around, taking pictures of peasant women and having babies.
Well, at least one baby.
Okay.
That we know
nice,
of.
Great.
Yeah.
All right, see where this is going. Okay.
So... for some reason, he was still the favorite, right? And his parents, they didn't pester him too much to get a job.
Maybe they should have.
Well, his father did try to get him a job as a businessman in a printing company.
Okay.
But he kind of sucked at doing business. So his father...
The other two have PhDs. They're all successful.
Yeah.
This guy isn't doing shit, and he's the favorite.
Somehow,
sure he is.
It's really
sure
weird.
He is, Alfie. Sure, your parents love you.
So his father determined that it would be better to let Alfred just sit around and do nothing and pay him to just enjoy life than let him bankrupt companies. So...
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he began making pictures. Now, his main subject at this point was the ever-changing scenery of New York City. Mm-hmm. The photos he made of the street scenes in snowstorms in the city in the 1890s are still considered to be some of the best early forms of pictorialism photography.
Beautiful.
Around this time, he joined the Society for Amateur Photography and even began to enter his photos into any competition or publication he could find. He was starting to carve out a place for himself in the world of photography. In 1893, he married his wife,
Did she have a name?
Yes, Emmeline Obermeyer.
Oh.
Now, she was not pretty, and he claimed that he thought that she was, quote, spoiled and difficult.
She's spoiled?
She's right?
Spoiled?
Right.
Holy guacamole.
I know.
Alrighty.
Exactly.
Next, don't even get me started. Can't do it.
So
At least she had a name.
She had
She's
it,
not
yes.
just the peasant girl, the peasant
he called
baby
her.
mama.
He called her Emmy.
Emmy.
Yes.
Oh, that's nice.
But
Alfie and Emmy.
The only reason he married her was because she was super wealthy.
Well, apparently she wasn't much to look at.
She wasn't much to look at.
And she had a lot of money.
She was. He said that he married her because she had her own wealth, and he could continue to live his leisurely life of art and photography and not have to worry about the burden of financially supporting a wife.
He's living off the ugly bitch?
Pretty much.
Wow,
Yeah.
nice guy.
Yeah.
Alrighty then.
So right from the beginning, they were terrible for each other.
I can imagine.
Very
It sounds
clearly.
like a marriage made in heaven.
Well, when they went on a nice little honeymoon,
Okay.
all he wanted to do was photograph peasants, and she wanted to enjoy Paris and enjoy, the nouveau riche society that she was
he wasn't.
accustomed to, and he's like,
No.
no. So he was dragging his tearful bride all over Europe to these places so he could photograph them.
Yeah, it's
and-
not like this guy has a history of being selfish or
No,
anything. So
no.
that's totally surprises me.
So anyway, she didn't like his lifestyle and his artsy friends, and he didn't like her nouveau riche friends and life of luxury. So Alfred was in complete rebellion against the world that Emmy loved.
So he's so rebellious he's going to spend all her money, I bet.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
Now, why the fuck did they get married? It's pointless. I don't know.
Ka-ching.
Yeah.
That's why he married her.
That's why. That's the only
Because
reason.
he wanted a sugar mama.
Yeah.
In addition to his baby mama.
Yeah. They did have a daughter together, Katie. And Alfred loved to photograph her as a little girl. There's a lot of beautiful pictures of Katie that he does.
Okay.
But that really did not help the marriage at all. He was so busy focusing on art that he sucked as a father and he sucked as a husband. Now, in 1900, he had formed a major magazine with another club that he had joined, the Camera Club. And the magazine was called Camera Notes, which took up a lot of his time. He also served as vice president of the Camera Club and was busy putting together his very first one-man exhibition of photographs for the Camera Club.
He still has no job.
Nope. No, he doesn't.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
He's just doing this.
He's just doing what he wants,
Yes.
whenever he wants.
Whenever he wants,
Oh,
yeah.
nice. Okay,
Yeah.
good way to go through life.
Yeah. Now, he's so focused on his...
Pun intended.
He's so focused on his exhibitry and putting together this one-man show that he pretty much works himself to the point of exhaustion. He tended to do that a lot. Like, he's always getting himself overworked.
off button?
No, there's like no off button on this guy.
Work,
When
work.
it comes to photography. Anything else, he doesn't give a shit.
Oh, good.
Now, he actually had his first of several mental breakdowns in 1900 while putting together this exhibit.
That's what gave him a mental breakdown?
Yeah, pretty much.
Pictures?
Yeah, the thing he loves.
couldn't deal with his pictures and he flipped the hell out.
And he's also trying so desperately to sell photography as an art form. Right?
Oh, what pressure. Oh, cry me a river.
He was starting to get sick of his own club members.
I'm starting to get sick of him.
This happens a lot.
Yeah.
They just didn't have the same passion as he did, the same level of understanding as he did, apparently. He had very high standards, and he let everybody know it.
Except when it came to being a husband
Right.
or
That
a dad.
didn't- no, that doesn't matter.
Didn't count.
In 1902, he formed a new photo group, an elite group, with members that he considered to be good. He called this group the Photo Secession. And it included like-minded people like Edward Steichen, Gertrude Casimir, Clarence White.
Like Gertrude had a beard?
The Casimir.
Oh, okay. Speak up.
Woman.
Okay, I don't. Okay.
Okay. I know, none of these names mean anything to you, I know.
Oh no. Let me guess. There were a bunch of unemployed rich photographers.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. There you go. I get it already.
This new club had a new magazine called Camera Work. It's probably one of the most beautiful magazines ever created for photography.
Okay.
And it started in 1902. The pages, the actual photographic prints were plastered right onto the pages, along with beautifully written essays from some of the great, brilliant literary minds of the time. It really was a work of art.
I'm
It
sure
was.
it was very pretty.
Alfred and Edward Steichen also created the first real photographic gallery in America. They had rented a place at 291 Fifth Avenue. And in 1905, they opened it up with their very first show of all photographs, to great success.
Okay.
Alfred's new role became gallery manager and magazine editor. He spent all day, every day, pretty much, at 291, as the gallery became known. 291 became the name of the gallery. In June of 1907, his wife finally forced him to go on vacation of sorts. Now, at this point, for a few years, while managing this gallery and working on this magazine, he had kind of stopped photographing. He wasn't really working that much. But then, as his wife insisted that they get on this giant fancy ocean liner, right? Travel first class in the nouveau riche way that he detested. At one point, like 3 days into this journey over to Europe, he got so sick and tired of it, he walked along to the steerage end of the ship, right? The third class folks.
Hung out with the real folks.
He's hanging out, looking over this railing, and he sees this beautiful combination of steerage folks, hats, suspenders, all this stuff, and he looks at it and he goes, "That is a photograph." So he runs back to his cabin, grabs his photograph, praying the whole way that nobody moved an inch, right? Because then it would ruin the shot. He gets back, everybody was still exactly where they were, and he snaps probably one of the most famous photographs of his time, which he entitled "The Steerage." It's really great.
I'm sure he had a great eye. I'm
did.
sure he
Absolutely, yeah.
was inspired, like most photographers are, to capture a moment, right? What's that Rod Stewart song? Every picture tells a story, right?
Sure.
I'm sure.
He did, yeah. And actually, when I, the Vassar Art Gallery.
That I've been to, believe it or not.
Well, they have the steerage. They have a print of it.
Okay.
And I remember seeing it for the first time going, that's amazing.
Okay.
But I had originally thought, oh, this must mean, people coming from Europe, immigrants coming to the States with the hopes of doing great things in America. It's the exact opposite. Because the ship was actually going back to Europe when he snapped this picture. These are immigrants who are like, I'm done with America. I'm going back.
So they didn't find the streets paved with gold, and they went back. They were like, I don't need this. I can starve
They
over
either
there.
got kicked out at Ellis Island because they didn't meet the qualifications, or they were going back because they had failed.
Homesick, or they couldn't
cut it. Yeah.
Oh, so it was the opposite.
It was the opposite.
Ah.
So I was like, oh, that's interesting.
It wasn't give me your tired.
No.
Your poor. I was like, we're leaving.
We're leaving. We're out of here.
Oh.
So yeah, it's really interesting.
I gotta look that one up. I'll look it up.
Yeah. If you look it up, I'll include it when I post this on Facebook. A picture of him, and I was probably going to use the steerage as one of his great examples.
I probably have seen it. I just can't.
It's very famous.
Yeah.
So anyway, he managed to pull off this great photograph that wasn't really quite the so-called American dream image that a lot of people have interpreted it to be.
Okay.
While in Europe with his family, he really got to see some modern art up close and personal. The Paris avant-garde was something quite new to him. He met the French sculptor and artist Rodin, right?
Yeah.
And he convinced Rodin to let him take some of his prints back to the States to showcase to Americans in his gallery.
Nice.
So Rodin's like, okay, here's a whole set of drawings, right? So he brings these drawings back, puts them on exhibit in 298. And the exhibit opened in 291. The exhibit opened in 1908 and caused such a stir because they were sort of abstract drawings of female bodies in very sort of exotic, erotic ways.
Isn't he the one that did the ballerinas?
Yes, I think he did. Yeah. But these were different. These were
very French.
These were very erotic sketches.
I guess that was shocking.
Yeah, it really bothered Puritan America.
Yeah.
Okay. They were just like,
I get that.
What is this and why is it on view for everybody to see?
So it didn't go over.
No, it didn't go well. But that's okay because Stieglitz was like, well, fuck you guys. This is art. And I don't care if you don't like it.
Really?
It's art, yeah.
I don't care if you don't like it and don't come to my studio.
And he's like, now I'm going to show you, I'm going to continue to bring in stuff that is going to blow your mind.
Blow your mind or completely. Now that I know you don't like it, I'm gonna like when the guy behind me and I'm on the highway.
And you want to go slower.
And he's like, oh, you're doing 40 and a 45, and I'm like, yeah, now I'm doing 20.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. He was a bit of an anarchist. He was. Yeah, and he wanted to stir people and get them feeling art in a different way, right? So anyway, he loved putting up art that really made people. I wrote this down in here. He loved putting up art that really made people feel, that made them think, and yes, even made them get mad.
Or uncomfortable. That's what art does. It can make you uncomfortable. It can make you think. I mean, I try to, expose myself to different forms of art.
Absolutely.
That's what art does.
That's what he wanted.
Okay.
So that it hadn't really done that before he came along and told people, this is what you should be thinking about. This is what you should be considering. Okay. Is it art? Is it not?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So a young student came to this exhibit of Rodin sketches. Her name was Georgia O'Keeffe. And she recalled thinking that Alfred looked very angry at all these students coming in. But at the same time, he was very warm and very talkative and wanted this to be more of an educational experience. He wanted 291 to be an educational gallery. And yes, if he sold something, great. But that wasn't really important to him.
His goal.
Throughout 1911 and early 1912, Stieglitz had several modern art exhibits at 291 and promoted new art along with photography and the pages of his camera work book. So he had moved away from just photography and was now including paintings and things like that.
He didn't paint. He was including them.
He was including them and promoting them.
Good for him. Okay.
Yes. By the summer of 1912, he was so enthralled with non-photographic art that he published an issue of camera work, this was in 1912, devoted solely to the art of Matisse and Picasso. So he's trying to showcase all different things that are coming out of France and Europe.
Yeah.
At 291, he actually did the very first ever in the United States, one-man show of Picasso's work. He only sold one piece.
Well, again, it's too progressive, right. I think, at the time.
It really was.
The nose is in the middle of the forehead, and the lip is by the ear. It was a little shocking, I guess, for the day.
He actually tried to get the director of the Metropolitan Museum of Art to buy a Picasso, and the director said that such mad pictures would never mean anything in America.
To him?
Right.
Well,
yeah.
Okay.
Alfred finally won a major victory for photography.
I would never go to a dermatologist or any kind of doctor that had like a Picasso in his office like that, or like an ENT.
That's interesting.
You go in and the nose is like by the chin. I'm like, no, I'm not going to you. I just wouldn't go to a plastic surgeon.
Plastic surgeon? Oh, no.
Who had Picassos. That would make me a little
That would be a little weird, yeah.
Again, I digress.
But I get it.
Yep.
He finally won a major victory for photography as art when in 1908 the director of the Albright Art Gallery of Buffalo agreed to have a large showing of photographs. It actually took 2 years of negotiations and planning, and the exhibit didn't open until 1910. Okay. He also managed to alienate a lot of his fellow photography friends who were really angry that the Albright Gallery had talked Alfred down on the prices of these pieces. Like they were only going to hang this stuff if they got it for cheap.
Oh.
Also, his friends were disappointed that this first show wasn't at a bigger, more important museum like the Met in New York or the Boston Museum of Fine Arts.
Why would he do that?
Why would he do what?
Why would he put that in another studio instead of his place?
Well, he had already been showing stuff at his place.
Yeah.
He wanted stuff to be accepted at major museums and art galleries. That's what he was trying to do. Hello, kitties. So the fact that the Albright finally goes, yeah, we'll take your stuff, but if you sell it to us cheap. That really bothered a lot of his friends, but to him, he saw it as a win because he's like, no, it's in an art museum.
It's an opportunity,
here.
Even though you're not getting top dollar.
Yeah.
All right.
So it was to him, he was like, this is a big win. Now, around the same time period, you got George Eastman making photography, right? You know him, yeah.
Him, I know.
He's making photography easy for the masses with the slogan, you press the button, we do the rest. And this infuriated Alfred.
Well, that's not always art. That's just easy peasy for people like me.
He said he had worked so hard to make photography a serious art, and this Eastman dude comes along, and he said he makes a camera a piece of family life, no more artful than a toaster. So honestly, I mean,
imagine if he saw, smartphones.
And
things now.
What would he have to say?
Imagine what his reaction would be.
He was such a snob, though. So there's that.
Oh, okay.
Alfred decided after the Albright show that it was time to focus on something else: the acceptance of modern art in America. At 291, he allowed himself to be educated by all things modern, hanging artists of every sort, cubism, abstraction, expressionism, everything. He generally hung things that he liked, but even if he didn't like it, he would hang it and say, I'm leaving it up there to try to take the time to understand it.
Look at him.
Yeah. Alfred spent 6 days a week at 291 from morning till night, mostly because he didn't want to go home to a wife that he didn't love. But He loved spending time in this gallery.
He loved spending her money.
He wanted Americans to live in cities. He wanted Americans who lived in cities like New York to make a habit of viewing art as a part of civilized life. He wanted to bring America out of the culturally impoverished past and to bring the world of art to them. In May of 1916, Anita Pulitzer showed Alfred some charcoal drawings by a teacher/artist from Wisconsin named Georgia O'Keeffe. He liked O'Keeffe's style, so much so that he went ahead and hung the pieces without her permission.
Oh.
When O'Keeffe heard about this, she came right to 291 and reprimanded him.
How dare you? How dare you hang my stuff?
But the two hit it off instead. They began a very intimate correspondence.
He's still married, isn't he?
He is.
Oh, okay.
That never stopped him before.
Oh, no, why should it? Yeah. Little thing like that.
Now, this intimate correspondence distracted him from what was going on around him. In 1917, World War I had hit his wallet pretty hard. Plus, he had loved Germany as a kid, and so he couldn't support the war because
Conflict of interest.
It was a conflict of interest, and this was considered unpatriotic.
Yeah.
So nobody was supporting the gallery.
Uh-huh.
And because of his tight finances, he was forced to close 291. This devastated him. But by 1918, his new love interest, Georgia O'Keeffe, moved to New York City from Texas, when he promised her he would provide her with a small studio space where she could paint. Within a month, he took his first of many nude photographs of her at his family's apartment while his wife Emmy was away. However, Emmy returned while their session was still in progress.
Oh.
This naturally pissed off Emmy.
And that's how the fight started.
But, like, girlfriend, you should have known. Like, seriously. You should have known.
She knew, look, this isn't his first affair. I'm sure
Right.
she knew and whatever the deal is.
Yeah.
But to walk in and actually see what's going on
Yeah.
is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
She killed both of them? Or what
so his wife said, "Stop seeing Georgia or get out." So Alfred's like, "Bye."
Wow.
And he and Georgia moved in together very quickly thereafter.
Wow.
They slept separately for a while, but by the end of July, they were in the same bed together. And by mid-August, they were visiting his parents' home in Lake George, Oaklawn, that was the name of the house. His biographer, Richard Whalen, said, quote, "They were like two teenagers in love. Several times a day, they would run up the stairs to their bedroom, so eager to make love that they would start taking off their clothes as they ran." Damn.
In his parents' house?
In his parents' house.
No shit.
And he's like 50. Yeah.
Yeah, alrighty.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's passionate about
He
stuff.
is.
That's who
Woo!
he is.
That's for
his
sure.
hallmark.
Doesn't mess
Alright,
around.
Yeah.
So Georgia became Alfred's new muse. He began photographing again. Obsessively.
No muse is good news.
Oh, God.
All right,
Dun-dun-dun.
sorry. I have to. Sorry.
He
We'll
was-
cross that out. So
Okay.
Yeah,
No, we'll leave it in.
out.
It's
We'll leave
staying
it
in there. Yeah. I'm
Oh,
lazy. I'm not
okay.
editing this
Okay,
shit.
so, I'll try to make better jokes.
So he's obsessively photographing her, every part of her. He was so inspired that he decided to mount a new exhibit. He was invited.
Naked Georgia O'Keeffe.
Pretty much. Yeah, exactly. He was invited to do this at the Anderson Gallery since he didn't have a gallery anymore, right? 291's closed. So, in his new exhibit, which opened in 1921, he had 46 images of Georgia.
All of her.
Many of them full frontal nudity.
Nice.
This was wild.
Nice.
Yeah.
They're not shocking or anything for the day, because everybody
mean-
wants to see George's boobs, you know.
I mean, it was, you know what? It made her an overnight sensation. It made her a household name.
No doubt.
Next thing you know, her artwork is in high demand.
No doubt.
This was brilliant.
Yeah.
Super.
Is that
I
why
mean,
he did it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just for
partly
water?
partly he was inspired by her, and partly he's like, I can promote her with these beautiful images and get her artwork out there through my photography.
Okay.
So it was kind of a win-win.
Okay.
I mean, the images that he took of Georgia are still selling at auction today. I mean, we're talking millions of dollars for a photograph.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, he was brilliant in that sense. He knew good art when he saw it. So, the two of them celebrated this new wonderful union when his divorce was finally finalized, and they got married in 1924. Him and Georgia.
3 hours after the ink dried.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Both of them seemed to keep lovers on the side, though.
Still?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Alfred was charming even into his old age. Like, he had a knack for getting young ladies, particularly young female artists or art buyers, people, big supporters of the arts, would fall in love with him, including Rebecca Strand, the artist. She's an artist, and she's also the wife of artist Paul Strand. Dorothy Norman, a photographer, writer, and supporter of his work. The relationship with Dorothy, that seemed to start in 1927 and continued all the way through his death. And that Georgia was kind of upset with that one. For some reason, other affairs didn't seem to bother him quite like the Dorothy Norman one, because he was legitimately in love with this girl. And once again,
more in love with Georgia. She doesn't aspire anymore.
He still loved her. He still loved her, but he's photographing everybody naked. Like he photographed Rebecca Strand naked, Dorothy Norman. Everybody gets the Alfred
in the supermarket.
The Alfred treatment. Take off your clothes.
Oh, good. All right.
So anyway, while he was doing this, Georgia retreated to New Mexico, where she creates some of her best art. And she carried on affairs of her own and with various people down there. Georgia also said that Alfred never wanted to travel outside of New York. At this point in his life, he's getting older. He's becoming a bit of a hypochondriac. And she said that he was always complaining of being sick and never wanted to be more than 50 miles away from a doctor. So she was happy to do her own.
Doctors in New Mexico?
Apparently, the New Mexico climate was not good for his heart condition. So that was what he had said.
Warm and sunny. The cold of New York is much better for that.
Meanwhile, she's writing letters home to him going, New Mexico's fucking great. I've never felt so good in my life. I'm tanned. I'm laying out naked in the sun, and she's having a great time. Nobody's photographing me. Maybe that's why it's more comfortable. So she was. It was clearly an open marriage, and they clearly had an understanding. The two of them. They did. By 1927, he had opened up a new gallery called the Intimate Gallery and threw himself back into mounting exhibits of modern art and photography. Georgia was making more money than he was on her art. She was selling thousands of dollars a painting. Okay. So Georgia was actually paying the rent for this gallery.
So he marries these women. They support him.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then he cheats on them.
Seems that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's what I took. That's my takeaway.
That is, he was selling art. He had always believed in art for art's sake, but now he was selling art at high prices, getting ridiculous record prices on George's work and other great artists of the time: Arthur Dove, John Marin, and Marsden Hartley. All these modern artists of the time. In 1929, An American Place, which was his new gallery, was financed by his circle of friends, including Paul Strand and Dorothy Norman, his new girlfriend. Here was his largest gallery to showcase art. It was located on Madison Avenue and 53rd Street and became his ivory tower, so to speak. But in his old age, he was losing touch with the younger generation and younger artists who were trying to use their art as political statements, which he was very much against. His last photographs were mostly of New York City in the 1930s, the tall buildings that were popping up everywhere. He also, by contrast, he also photographed his final photographs, the simple views of his family's place in Lake George. These were his last photographs before he finally laid down his camera forever in 1937. But he continued the rest of his life to promote and sell art, and get modern art into respectable museums and galleries throughout the country. In the summer of 1946, Stieglitz suffered a fatal stroke and went into a coma. Georgia came back from New Mexico, and she found Dorothy Norman in the hospital room. She pretty much kicked her out. Norman left, and O'Keefe stayed with him until he died on July 13th, 1946. Georgia brought his ashes to Lake George, where he had always loved to be. I found this quote that sums up his life rather nicely. Okay?
Hit it up.
Here we go. Alfred Stieglitz is perhaps the most important figure in the history of visual arts in America. That is certainly not to say that he was the greatest artist of America has ever produced. Rather, though, his many roles as photographer, as a discoverer and a promoter of photographers and of artists in other media, and as a publisher, a patron, and a collector, he had a greater impact on American art than any other person has had.
Okay. Regardless of his personal life, we've talked about this before.
Separating the art from the artist.
Yes. You knew what I was going to say.
I knew.
I mean, I'm sure he was an innovator. I'm sure he was very inspired, inspiring, very passionate about his work.
Oh, yeah.
Was he a mensch? You know.
So there was a film back in 2009, and I think it was like a Lifetime film or something along those lines. You can actually find it on YouTube if you want to watch it. It's called Georgia O'Keeffe.
Okay.
And it stars Jeremy Irons as Alfred Stieglitz.
Okay.
He's great as Alfred, and perfect. And Joan Allen as Georgia O'Keeffe. It's really, I think, very well done at looking at the relationship between the two of them, and the kind of struggle that they both clearly had, but that they were both really, I guess,
Talented artists.
very talented. Yes, both. Yeah. So if you ever get the chance, check that. I think you can find it on YouTube.
I will check that out. I will check out, what is it called? The steerage?
The steerage. I'll show you some of his image. There's some really beautiful stuff that he did. I really like his eye. And I think he had a great eye for all forms of art. And I appreciate the fact that even if he didn't like it, he would take the time to try to understand it.
That I do. Maybe somebody else can see something I don't see.
Yeah.
It's like when you go to a movie, or, you know, I'm in a book club, and sometimes people in my book club, you know, I go in and I didn't like this book. And then I hear the other people talk, and I'm like, I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
I didn't associate that. Did
Right.
we read the same book? I think I like it now.
Yeah.
And you know, books and movies and art make you think. They're very thought provoking.
Exactly.
You know. But was he a mensch?
Was he a mensch?
So
He might
that's
have
up
been.
for you, dear readers, to decide.
Indeed. So there you have it.
That was a very informative episode.
Of
All my favorite people are dead. See you, breathers.
But their art lives on.
Always.
Always. Bye.
All my favorite people are dead. All my favorite